I think NSF or North-South Foundation is very unique in how or what it tries to achieve here. Its primary mission, as the founder Dr. Ratnam Chitturi set out to do, is to help kids or poor kids in India who don't have the funds for going to college.
Which is a cause that, that sounds good compared to basically any nonprofit you hear about. It's a really wonderful thing, but it gets those funds in a really interesting way.
Nobody gets paid. There's no salaries, there's no wages, and we all just come in and spend the time and get things done.
We do walkathons in every summer, and we organize workshops to help children understand, develop their skills in math, spelling, vocab. And on top of that, we do organize fundraising activities and give scholarships in India.
In 1990, we started giving scholarships.
Highly secular, strictly based on merit. No discrimination, no favoritism, nothing. And when I talked to Dr. Chitturi, he's telling me the very first scholarship he gave was a Muslim boy from India.
A friend of mine, Dr. Murali Gavini, he joined North-South Foundation and he put the seed. He's the father of the spelling bees originally in 1993. Then we started expanding to other contests.
It's getting bigger, originally they did a spelling bee, now they added math bee, and then brain bee, vocab bee, essay contest. And this year I'm very excited, they have this public speaking bee.
7 years ago, we had 600 participants in these contests at the regional level. Now we have nearly 6,700 children participating in 2006. So it grew quite a bit.
At the Nationals last year, I met some people who actually were former NSF scholarship recipients, and they had ended up in America. And to me, that was just phenomenal to meet these people and to think that a bunch of kids, doing academic contests. The end result of that could be such a huge, could have such a huge effect on people's lives.
It's the dual purpose and the way it is kind of binding, us using education as the tool, both here and in India, I think is what's unique about Northside and excites me, and I think will be attractive to a lot of parents. A lot of us who are here as part of our education, we want to promote the light of education both here and the kids here, as well as in all the parts of India.
I was basically from a poor family, and till 12th standard it was a free education because I was able to get into the residential schools and residential colleges. There are government schools and colleges, and it's virtually free education. In my 10th standard I was a state second ranker, and in my 12th standard also I was a state ranker. And after that it was like I was kind of stuck, because that's where the free education stops in India. After 12th standard you don't have a free education in India.
Okay, here in the US, for $250, what can you get? Even if you're going to college, how much it costs one credit hour? A lot of money here. But you can send a poor child in India for a whole year.
One fine day, by God's grace, I happened to see a little notification about NSF in one of the daily newspapers in India. And what it says was, we financially help the poor and bright students. And when I looked at it, I said, yes, I am poor and I am a bright student. So I did apply for it. And fortunately I was selected, and I was offered a scholarship of $200 per year for all 4 years of my graduation. So that was such a tremendous, such a timely help that I got from NSF. And with that timely help I was able to complete my graduation, and then I did my masters from IIT Kharagpur. and now I am settled as a software professional working here in US.
And there are several organizations or several areas, either the government or the other programs, welfare programs, they take care of several groups, but the foundation, they take care of a specific sect of people, those who doesn't fit into any of those, the government or other areas.
An event that brings terrible loss, lasting distress, or severe affliction. A disaster.
Basically, her preparation first focuses on the list that NSF gives out. So we go out and look up meanings of those words.
Well, it's basically the words that I'm like having a hard time with, so then I write them so I can just like look at them whenever I have time and kind of memorize the spelling. Calamity.
Right.
CALAMITY. Calamity.
Very good.
I think she's always been competitive, but I think her confidence level has gone up in front of audience. I see that her concentration levels go way up when she's doing spelling bees.
The first thing starts from motivation, but I think what it comes down to is more of a project management, because what you want to do is instill this thought in the kid's mind that he has to take this challenge and try to win the challenge. So what he needs to do is maybe spend a few hours every day, and it could be a few minutes for someone else, but the kid has to understand it will require some dedication, it will require some effort.
If you take any of the NSF contests seriously, then I think the most important thing you get out of it is you really start to value discipline, because the word lists are really long. I've never done the math bee or geography bee, but those seem like pretty intense contests as well in terms of the scope of the information that's being covered. So I would say these contests definitely, more than anything, they help kids really learn what it means to buckle down. And I think you see that every year when you see the winners. Those kids have a lot of discipline, and it's pretty, admirable.
It takes really a brave kid to say, Dad, I'm gonna spend another half an hour and I'm gonna complete this. So when that starts happening by the kid himself, you feel so good because you're not forcing him anymore. He is on self-motivated path.
Trying to understand everything you do for meaning for almost every contest, because unless you understand the basis of what you're doing, so for example spelling, if you don't understand any of the words, you just memorize them, you're never going to get anywhere, because you can only memorize for so long, but once you understand, it's for a lifetime.
You have to be persistent. If you lose, you can't just give up. And it's not more of the actual competitions, it's about the journey to them.
Well, I guess the biggest change that happens is that they become a little more focused. They get to understand a little bit more about how other kids are. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm very competitive, the other guys are not. But as soon as you go into the contest, you see, oh my God, there are so many kids who have the same energy, same dedication.
I like to learn, but I'm really competitive. So, even in sports, it's not just learning. I like to compete a lot.
Well, I like to go there and compete. I'm just a natural competitor.
Isagoge. 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 That is correct.
Well, I think it's very trite to say that every contestant is a winner, but I actually think that is very true, especially for the North-South Foundation contest. I think it takes a lot for kids to participate in something academic outside of school. And as I've always told my brother when he participated, that he shouldn't do it for the trophy and shouldn't do it to show his friends up, but just should do it to learn something and to have a good time and to get the experience of being in a room with peers. And I really think that that's the reason that a child should participate, and I think that that's the reason that parents should encourage their children to participate rather than lure children into participating by a trophy or a medal or $1,000 first prize.
I got involved with NSF, I think it was back in 1993. I was about 11 or 12 years old, and I think it was one of the first contests that they had in Chicago, and I remember it was a spelling bee, and I remember my mom kind of signing me up for this contest, and I didn't really want to go because I was like, you know, spelling bee, whoop-de-doo. But I do remember that when I, got there and some of the camaraderie and competition, that it was a really great experience, and I, began looking forward to the competitions as the years went on.
We had friends, it's like word of mouth. We had friends and other kids who are much older than our kids participated in the contest.
Now, we had a local chapter in St. Louis. I decided that I would be one of the coordinators for the local chapter, and therein I started volunteering for NSF for the remaining 3 years that I was in St. Louis. And it was a wonderful opportunity because I saw the NSF chapter progress from a very nascent stage to increase by geometric bounds within the St. Louis community. So it felt really fruitful, and we are proud to be a part of the NSF committee.
I'm also very pleased to see that the foundation is spread all across the nation, and it isn't just limited to like Chicago, New York, and LA, but it's gone to even some of the smaller cities as well. And I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I know that there's a lot of competitions that are held now throughout the metropolitan areas of the United States.
Contests were held differently, the rules were different, and the growth of the organization was tremendous in those years. But by the time we got involved and our kids got involved, it was pretty standardized at that time, and we knew we were going to do it, and basically started out at the regional contest whenever it was opened up to sign up for. And since then it's been every contest.
What can be done for human growth potential by nurturing and cultivating and by mentoring? You can create the best out of the people.
NSF gives a gift for lifetime to the needy children in India. Everyone knows the importance and value of education. So it is basically, it's not a monetary help, it is just a gift for his entire life.
I also felt that I wanted the children to do something, and I thought back about my days back home in India, and I remember that I was given a small pink sheet with 100 squares in it, and we would go collect like 1 rupee. Long ago that was a lot of money. And I thought maybe, my kids would be happy to do that and to raise money for poor kids in India. So I decided to start it as a program, and we called it $1 a Square program. And my involvement is more in that program now. That's what I do. I try to make a lot of kids all over the country participate in it. Recently in Massachusetts, about 26 kids, they raised close to 2,500. And even today at the finals, we had requested children, if they want to bring their sheets, they can bring it. And today at the finals, about 15 kids brought in their $1 a Square sheets, and they themselves have raised close to $1,500. Which is 6 scholarships.
Well, the most important thing is they show really young people, students in elementary school and junior high, that they can make a difference in the world just, through their daily actions, which I think is a message that really gets lost pretty often, is that you don't have to be, Mother Teresa or someone like that to make a difference. You can, integrate service into other aspects of your life and really just make it, part of who you are, rather than like an activity that you may or may not have time for.
I'd say NSF is a good experience. It's the first time going to a competition, but I really enjoy it, and I'd like to do it again and over again, because it's not only it's like you study hard and you work for it, but you also meet all types of kids, from all age groups, from everywhere, and they're just like you.
I've met a lot of great people, not just as parents, volunteers, made a lot of friends through this organization, and that is what I see as being of value to me, and which I actually cherish.
I mean, whatever that you want to do, you find that here. And in any type of, if it is a service, or if it is a cultural activity, or if it is doing a fundraising, or if it is contest, or anything like the way contest makes the family together, the same thing, the community, it brings the community together.
For anybody that wants to come to work for North South Foundation, to be associated with it, and it's a wonderful endeavor, work together as a team to help our children.